They didn't unmute my microphone. What's up, boys and girls? How are you? That's another time. That's 2 times that StreamYard has tried to keep me quiet. You can't keep me quiet on a Fight Song Friday. Welcome into a very fun, fast, and festive Fight Song Friday. Enough F's for you there. Probably drop a couple of them later on in the program. My name is Matt Peralta. We are live on YouTube at Boston versus the Book. We are live on X, same handle, at Boston versus the Book, replayed on Sports Grid TV each and every weeknight, and audio podcasts wherever you guys get your audio podcasts. I can start the show with good news. Good news. Corbin just told me that he is now all ready to go, and the fun, I always want to call it a fundraiser, the Christmas gifts that you guys purchased, the money that's going to go to Dave's daughters, the hats and the t-shirts and the hoodies are all done. The orders are done. So if you were someone who went to our store and made that purchase, you should be expecting it in the mail at some point in the very near future. So that is very good news. I know Christmas is Thursday. We're hoping to get it there before Thursday. I don't know. I'm hoping. I'm hoping. Okay, I don't know, but I'm hoping that it arrives before the big guy comes on Thursday. So pause. That didn't sound right. Anyways, we're on late night. It's going to be one of those days. Just telling you, we're going to roll through a bunch of stuff. Newbie's on the program. He's been off for a couple of weeks. He'll be on. Then we've got a conversation with Robert Linnehan from Front Office Sports. That's coming up in 30 minutes. We'll talk to him about everything happening in the DK prediction market launching world, what the Mass Gaming Commission did, and are we going to bet on everything and anything now? Is this going to be allowed? Are we just going to have anything and everything that you can imagine be bet on? Because there was a prediction market taking bets on whether or not the person that had committed the murders in Boston, at MIT, in Brown, in Providence, if that person was going to be arrested, how many days would it take for that person to be arrested? Yeah. Really? We're taking bets on that now? Yikes. Okay. Yikes. Here we go. Here we are. We'll save the Ram talk a little bit for newbie later in the program. So we won't go totally into what happened last night. But if you went to bed before the Rams and the Seahawks game was over last night, I feel for you because you missed an absolute barn burner of a football game. And I understand why people go to bed. I mean, it's late, right? East Coast time. You got to go to bed. West Coast game. But my God, you missed it. And I still don't know. I've been arguing with people, I guess that's a lateral. I guess that's like I had +2 on the Rams. I was good. Okay. So the 2-point play at the end, Seattle winning, blah, blah, blah. But like, if I'm a Ram fan today, and if I'm a Rams supporter, I'm watching this going, what? Like, every time we watch a sporting event, there is a potential for something to happen that we have never seen before. And a ball bouncing off a guy's head being ruled a backward pass, which then vaulted itself forward into the end zone, which was then picked up just nonchalantly by a running back, gets ruled a 2-point play. I have been around for a long time, and all the time I keep on going to myself, every day something new, every day something happens. It's why we all get up in the morning, because you have no idea what the hell might happen. You have no idea what the world might actually produce. And the universe produced an outcome last night that made everybody go, what? So let me get this straight. If a ball gets fumbled, I cannot go and pick the fumble up and run it into the end zone on a 2-point play. But I can just pick the ball up if it gets thrown backwards and then gets deflected and it goes forwards. I can then pick it up in the end zone, and then that's a 2-point play. It's not an incomplete pass. It's a live football, and so I can pick it up. I just don't understand. It's just like, wait, what? So we'll talk more about the Rams and the Seahawks and the win in Seattle and Sam Darnold, but that 14-1 ticket that I have on the Seattle Seahawks to win the Super Bowl, not bad. And you did call that, Edison, on longest field goal under 50 and a half. Absolutely. That was a touchdown game. I'm not sure the wind is why that happened, by the way. That was just like a touchdown game. But the kid, well, that was a 48-yard kick, right? The kid missed at the end of regulation for the Rams to win the game. That wasn't a 50-yarder. So that wouldn't have mattered anyway, even if he made that kick. But the Rams had so many chances to win that game. So many chances. It's unbelievable. So many chances to win that game. It's crazy. That play was on the NFL referee test this year. Are you being serious or are you kidding, Chicago Kristen? Is that true? That's pretty cool if it was. Because then the guys kind of knew it, right? Everybody had been brushed up on that. That's kind of neat. Wow. I didn't know that. Interesting. Still didn't think it was a backwards pass, by the way. Still looked forward to me. Even with all the overhead replay shots and everything else, it's okay. I mean, like, we're splitting hairs here. This is like Gene Steratore with the index card here. We're talking about, like, if that thing went backwards by like half a foot, if that. Oh, it was a joke. Okay. Thank you. Okay. I need a sarcasm font. When you guys are making jokes in the chat, I need a sarcasm font. It is a Fight Song Friday. There are 4 massive college football games. How the show is going to go today. Opening line, Fight Song Friday, 4 games. We'll talk about all of them. Then picks on every game for week 16 of the NFL starting tomorrow when we get after it, first with Philly and Washington, and then Chicago and Green Bay. Then the whole day on Sunday, I'll make picks on each and every one of those. Those will be our Just the Pick segment. And then Robert Linnehan and then Newbie joins us. Bonus time. We'll get to some other things with Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua coming up in bonus time. So that's the show. It's going to go fast. It's going to be a fun Friday. So just buckle up. Let's rock and roll here with the opening line. Opening line, it's here, finally, the CFP. And I love this. I love that we have a Friday night standalone, and it actually makes for a pretty good Friday night. If you're somebody that wants to avoid the malls, which I would probably recommend you avoiding the malls to go shopping tonight, because this is the last weekend before Christmas. And if you haven't finished your shopping, you're going to get bulldozed by people who are pissed off and angry and fighting over, well, the last of the electronics in the store and the last parking space outside the mall. If you want to avoid all of that, stay home, watch Alabama, Oklahoma, stay home and watch Jake Paul. I can't believe I just said that, but you got 2 things on the TV tonight on a Friday night that makes it, the undercard's not horrible, by the way. On that fight card, there's some interesting fights on that card that Netflix has put together for tonight. So it's not just Jake Paul fighting against Anthony Joshua, but there are some things on TV to watch, is what I'm saying. Okay, you have sporting events tonight to hang out if you want to hang out and watch. And I like it that it's on a Friday night. I like that we got it. Alabama on the road. Movement this morning. When the books opened today, Alabama was favored. That is not the case anymore, as Alabama is now the dog. I'm going to admit, I'm surprised. I didn't expect it, that we would see movement here to push Oklahoma to be the favorite. Remember, this is ping-ponged, right? We opened up with OU as the favorite. It went to Alabama as being the favorite. Then it went back to Oklahoma being the favorite. It's going back and forth. And that's not hard to do when it's a coin flip game. When we're talking about this type of margin, this is where we go back and forth with, one big max bet at some book that people copy their lines can move it around. Where this number closes, I'm not really sure. I don't think it's that big of a deal. If you like Oklahoma, take Oklahoma. If you like Alabama, take Alabama. Don't worry about the number. I don't think the point spread comes into play. Although, as I say that, look at last night, right? Rams +2, Rams +1.5. That covers. So technically, yeah, I guess it could come into play. But I think Oklahoma wins this game. I am down on Alabama, just given what we saw in the SEC championship and the fact that there is so much, I'll call it smoke, around their head coach in Kellen DeBoer and whether or not he wants to go to Michigan. Now, is he using Michigan for leverage to get more money out of Alabama? Absolutely, that could be the case. And frankly, I wouldn't knock the guy if that's what he's doing. If he's playing a game and just saying, hey, Ann Arbor this time of the year would be pretty cool. Well, Alabama's been in the playoffs for 9 of the 12 years we've had it. And the Crimson Tide, their fan base, they're not used to being on the road in the opening round, in particular against a conference rival, which already beat you, by the way, in your building. I just don't think Ty Simpson and company, I don't think they have the offense to handle Oklahoma's defense. Bama couldn't do anything against OU, in particular in the second half in that first matchup. And John Mateer's hand is totally healthy. I mean, John Mateer should be good to go. And I think with him being back to full strength, with his ability to both run and throw, and Brent Venables' defense, which I think is going to be a big problem for a lot of teams, I like Oklahoma here to win this game. I'm tempted to put a future wager on Oklahoma because I think their defense is capable of making a run, but I'm not going to do it because of the fact that I don't want to get 2 bets wrong on this. And Oklahoma can lose this game. Like there's no debate that Alabama can win this game. They have the talent. They're ferociously pissed off after what happened to them in the SEC championship game. But Georgia's defense is not as good as Oklahoma's defense. And if Georgia can manhandle that Bama offensive line, well, then why can't Oklahoma in Norman at Memorial Stadium on a Friday night? Like, do you know how drunk the Boomer Sooner folks are going to be in that building tonight? That's going to be an absolute hornet's nest for Alabama to walk into. It's why, for the most part, home teams have done very well in the tournament, because the home teams, well, they're fans. It's a different environment to play a playoff game. We've never seen a playoff game in Norman, Oklahoma, and it's an awesome sports town. It's an awesome college town. Memorial Stadium is a great place to see a game. It's a great place to be a Sooner fan. I just think it's too much for Alabama. I'm taking Oklahoma. I'll lay it. I got 1.5 last night, but I'd lay 1.5 now. I think it's a fine play if you want to jump in on Oklahoma now. OU plus 1.5, OU minus 1.5. I think Oklahoma wins and advances, and then Bama's got a bunch of questions to worry about. I'm in on A&M, boys and girls. I've been there all year. I talked about A&M. I thought they were the best team in the country for most of the year. They ran the table, and then they lost to Texas on the road in the big rivalry game, and everybody stood up and said, aha, I told you. They are frauds. Okay, fine. I'll take the 19-1 that I got last night on A&M to win the national championship. They're a 7 seed in this game coming up against Miami, and to be completely frank, I'm stunned. The pros all came in and bet A&M early, and now the buyback is happening on Miami for the game tomorrow. It's a standalone game, and I got to be honest, I'm going to get most of my Christmas shopping already done. I got a couple of things I got to pick up tonight. I'm going to bang those things out hopefully quickly today in the afternoon, get back for Alabama, Oklahoma, then watch the Jake Paul fight, but then get up tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Pacific time. I get this beauty with Texas A&M at home against Miami. Look, I like Miami. They belong in. I put them in over Notre Dame. The committee got it right. They just sent them to a hellscape. I mean, you got to go to College Station with the Yell crew and all that garbage going on. Like, this is a cult, and the cult wins, and they advance here. And I like A&M to make a run. I think A&M as a 7 seed, this is a top 5 team all year. They were a top 4 team in the standings until they lost to Texas, which dropped them to the 7 seed, which, to be quite honest, it's a better place for A&M to be. They're the little brother They've been the little brother their entire existence. No Aggie fan wants to hear that, but that's the facts, okay? I don't care how many rings you put on your finger, try to stick it in your ears to figure out that you guys aren't the little brother to Texas and everybody else in the SEC, but you are, okay? And being a 7 seed is a good thing because it fits the narrative that you guys need. Underdog. You need to be doubted. You need to be questioned because you're going to have some really hard games in the next couple of weeks that you're going to need to be fully on and play your best football for. I like Mike Elko a lot. It's not that I don't like Mario Cristobal, but I don't like Mario Cristobal in big games. I'm not the biggest of Carson Beck fans. I haven't been all year. And I think if you look at an opportunity for A&M here to remind everybody in the country as to how good they really are, they went to Notre Dame and beat Notre Dame. Miami beat Notre Dame at home, and that's why they're in this game, because they beat them in week 1 at home before the Irish got really rolling. Now, it was only a couple of weeks later that the loss for Notre Dame happened to Texas A&M. But A&M, and you can give me the schedule. I get all the crap the South Carolina game and the comeback, and they lost that game to South Carolina, but they didn't lose to South Carolina. That's the point. The point is they got down, but they were good enough to rally. They were good enough to get themselves out of the fire and to win a game they had to have. And they were able to do it with an unbelievable fourth quarter. 3? I get 3? Yes. A&M. Give me the home team. A&M -3 to beat Miami. 19-1 to win it all. Shop around. I got it last night. I took it last night. I like A&M to make a run here in this tournament. And I think they're going to remind people that they were pretty damn good. All we need them to do is win 2 games. If they win 2 games and they get to the semifinal and they were going to play Ohio State, but that game's in Jerry's world, okay? A&M in Jerry's world. This is right. That's right. Hold on. Let me make sure I'm saying that correctly because I'm always going, hold on. Make sure because I'm going the bracket's in my head. I want to make sure I'm saying the bracket correctly because I bet it last night, but I'm just knowing my brain. We need to go ahead and get it correctly. Yes. Okay. They play Ohio State at the Cotton Bowl in Jerry's World. You have A&M in Dallas. I mean, that's, are you kidding me? Ohio State. Yes, I get it. Defending champs. I get all of it. I understand what Ohio State is, but no, I think they lose that game. I think it ends. Championship run ends. Julian Sagan's going to play a speed defense. And I think the A&M talent on that field with that speed comes into play. It's the old SEC speed versus Big Ten power, right? Give me the SEC speed. It's a de facto home game for A&M. Huge advantage. I think they beat Ohio State. If they beat Ohio State, then we can hedge off of it. Got a 19-1 ticket. Hedge off of it. It's easy. I love this. A&M, not just tonight or tomorrow, but A&M to win against Miami, A&M to win up against Ohio State. I got my neck out on this one. I got a little neck out on this one. This is bad. I like Tulane a lot. I'm telling people Tulane's going to have a shot to win the game. Everyone's telling me that I'm nuts. I'm getting hammered going, you're crazy. Matt, what are you talking about? Green Wave's going to get run off the field by Ole Miss. Okay. Don't think so. I think Tulane's got a shot. I think Ole Miss is a mess. I'm taking the 17.5 points. I like the dog. I'm going against one of the home teams here. I think of all the teams that could lose outright, Lane Kiffin's departure creates a whole lot of uncertainty about a team and a coaching staff that all of a sudden they're shopping. You know, they're the guy who knows that they're breaking up with their girlfriend. Like they know that they're doing it, and now they're looking for the replacement. Their mind's not focused as to where they should be. And they got business things to worry about. Not a good place to be when Tulane, this is the biggest game for some of these kids. They will never play on a stage this big ever again. And I know Tulane's losing their coach. I know there's some issues there too with Tulane, but the university is in a different place. Ole Miss's university is in tatters. Like they are freaking out. Tulane losing their coach to a bigger job is a badge of honor. That's something to be proud of. Ole Miss losing their coach to LSU is an embarrassment, is a frustration. I love this for Tulane. I love this for Tulane's. And yes, I know everyone is saying this. But thank you for saying it, because my 80% rule comes into play here. That's the thing. Ole Miss rolls. They're going to smack Tulane. Okay. Disagree. I disagree. Am I the only one that likes Oregon? I think I am. I think I'm the only person that's actually considering betting on Oregon and laying the 21 points. Everyone is on JMU. Everyone is betting on JMU. That James Madison's going across the country, literally, to go take on Oregon in one of the most difficult places to play college football in an environment that none of those kids, and I mean none of those kids, have ever experienced playing at Oregon. And we're taking the dog? What are we doing? Look, I've been wrong a ton, but this feels like groupthink, and this feels like people talking themselves into this, and that there has to be one team of the two that got in that will make some noise, that JMU's got an offense. Okay. Athlete to athlete, coach to coach. This is a damn mismatch, guys. That's why this number is 21. That's why this number is 21. I don't understand. I just don't get this. This is Oregon at home. Have we forgotten what these guys look like at home? Have we forgotten what Oregon is like in their home stadium? That we are going to run to the table, we're going to run to the window, and we're going to feel confident taking James Madison, even catching 3 touchdowns. Again, keep this and play this back on Monday, being like, Matt, you're a fool. JMU wins the game. JMU shocks Oregon. I'll sit here and go, I was dead wrong. I would, but until that happens, give me the Ducks. Go Oregon. Give me the Ducks. I don't understand this. This just feels, to me, Tulane, because of what's going on at Ole Miss, that's why I like Tulane plus 17.5. But in terms of the other 3 games, give me the favorite. I'm laying the points here. We saw it last year. We're doing it again. I'm going under, or I'm going against people. Under. I'm going against what everybody thinks. Everybody likes Ole Miss. I like Tulane. Everyone likes JMU. I like Oregon. Everyone likes Alabama. I like Oklahoma. Been wrong before, but look, I just think it's December. It's around Christmas. Everybody wants to be kumbaya. Everyone's betting the same thing. Don't think that's a smart way to do it. I think we go against everybody here. Not interested. OU tonight, A&M tomorrow, Oregon and Tulane on Saturday. Let's see what happens. Those are college picks. Let's make some pro picks. Just the Picks Week 16 edition. Let's roll through these games. We'll go a little quick here because we got obviously Robert Linnehan coming up here in about 5 minutes. So we're going to run through the week, give you picks and plays and thoughts. Let's start with the Eagles and the Commanders. First game tomorrow. Commanders are catching 6.5 points from the Eagles. In December or later, Jalen Hurts is just 5-7-1 against the number against his division, including an awful record of 1-5 against the spread on the road. I don't care. I'm taking the Eagles. The Eagles need this. The Eagles beat the Raiders 31-0 last week. I think this team is locked in. I don't care about the drama between A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts. I don't care that people are mad at Nick Sirianni. I think the Eagles get this done on the road against Marcus Mariota and company, because I think without Jaden Daniels, it's a bit of a signal that this team would prefer to lose. Rather than risking Jaden Daniels and improving their draft stock, they want to tank. They want to lose, even against the Eagles, even against a prideful NFC East matchup here. I'll lay it. Eagles -6.5. The night game, Packers-Bears. Bears laying 1.5. Teams, after playing at Denver, are 0-6 against the spread this season. That's the Packers. And the Packers are playing this game without Micah Parsons, who was an absolute terror in the first game between these two. Caleb Williams had a chance to win the game at Lambeau, threw the ball too late, was picked off. Packers won, Packers cover. Bears win, Bears cover. They even it up tomorrow. Great game tomorrow night. Bills and the Browns. Buffalo laying 10.5 to Cleveland tomorrow. Bills as a favorite at the Browns are 5-0 straight up and against the spread. Give me the Bills big. I don't think they're going to have much of a problem here putting up 25, 28 points against this Cleveland defense. And because I think Josh Allen will once again put his cape on, I don't think this is going to be a pass rush that Josh Allen has to worry too much about. Although the Bills on the road have been a much worse football team. I'm not sure I'm betting this, but if I was, I would take the Buffalo Bills. I'd lay the 10.5 points with the Bills. The craziest line move of the week so far is Jets at the Saints. When I taped my show on Tuesday for Betting Pros, this number was 4, and I liked the Saints then. Now at 6.5, holy Christmas. This thing is flown. This is Rudolph on a sleigh. Where's this number going to close at? This is nuts. Jets at the Saints from 2.5 to 6.5. I don't know if I like it at 6.5. I liked it at 4. I'm not sure I'm laying that with the New Orleans Saints, but one way to bet this is Tyler Shuck in the under. This dude's 5-1 to the under, going under by over 4 points per game. At home, he's 2-0 to the under. 40.5. Jets don't have an offense. Brady Cook stinks. He stinks. So we're going under 40.5. Vikings Giants. Does anybody care about this game? This is an awful football game. This is a bad game. Teams coming off a road game in Dallas, though, are 0-6 against the spread. If you want to follow a trend, take the Giants, fighting hard with Jackson Dart at quarterback, but I can't get the Vikings right to save my life. Patriots at the Ravens. Pats are catching 3. Mike Vrabel, coach of the Patriots and the Titans, in games off of a loss. He's 24-18-3 ATS. Pats +3, bounce back spot for New England coming up. Bucks and the Panthers, hell of a game. How about this Baker Mayfield stat? He's never lost to the Carolina Panthers. He's 5-0. The 3 is not a horrible number to lay, although betting on Baker as a road favorite is always extremely dangerous. I've been way higher on the Bucks than most people. I have a very large bet on the Bucks to win the NFC South, so I need this game to go my way here. We're going Bucks. We're laying the 3. Bucks at the Panthers. Give me Baker to go 6-0 against Carolina. Chiefs and the Titans. Gardner Minshew as a road favorite. I never would have thought this. Gardner Minshew, the quarterback for the KC Chiefs now, is 4-0 ATS and 4-0 straight up. Give me the Chiefs. I'm going with the Chiefs. Give me KC. Chargers at the Cowboys. Justin Herbert in his career, 17-12-1 as a dog against the spread. On the road or neutral overseas, he's 13-6. Cowboys 2-point home favorites. Really? After basically being eliminated, they got to win out, and the Eagles, who will win on Saturday, will then eliminate the Cowboys. Take this number now. Take the 2 now, because this number, once the Cowboys are eliminated, will change, and people will bet the Chargers. Give me LA +2. I like the Chargers. Falcons at the Cardinals. Jacoby Brissett, 12 starts at home for the Cardinals, Patriots, Browns. The over is 9-3 in those games. Total's 48. Falcons, Cardinals, we're going over. Over, Falcons, Cardinals. Jaguars at the Broncos. How about this for a stat? Fun football game. I got the Jags hat on here on a Friday. Since 1990, teams on an 11 or more game win streak in the NFL have inflated and struggled to cover with their lines. 14, 36-2. The Broncos are on an 11-game win streak. Now 3.5. You're giving me a hook with the Broncos? Yes. Give me Jacksonville. +3, I probably would stay off of it. You give me 3.5? Yep. Jags +3.5 at Denver. Steelers and the Lions. 3 more games to go. The Lions have alternated wins and losses in their last 10 games. That's bizarre. Win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. Well, here's the problem. When they lose, they win the next week, and they cover for the most part. They're 14-1 ATS off a loss. They lost last week. What do you do this week? You bet on them. Steelers on the road after a home win on Monday Night Football. Short week on the road for Pittsburgh. Lions cover. Lions win. -7. The game that nobody cares about besides here in Vegas, Raiders at Texans. Texans laying 14. Teams as double-digit underdogs in consecutive weeks in the NFL since 2003 are 72, 44, and 3, including 3-0 ATS this season. I don't care. Lay it. Houston's going to kill the Raiders. They suck. Even with Geno Smith coming back, that offensive line couldn't block you guys. Geno, I like, okay? I'm not a hater on Geno Smith, but that offensive line, get out of here. Bad. And finally, Bengals on the road at the Dolphins. How about this number? 4 for Cincy. Why? Well, Mike McDaniel has coached 13 games where the Dolphins are on short rest like they were. They played on Monday night and lost. He's 3-10 straight up in those games. That's not good. Mike McDaniel, even at home in December, don't like it. Bengals, I'll lay the 4 with the Bengals here. Pick is Cincinnati. I don't love it, but I would play it. Those are our picks for week 16. Last week we went 7-9, but the money was flat because we had money line dogs that came in cash for us, like the Saints. I like the Saints this week, but not -6.5. That number is crazy. that number has gone to Looney Tunes as to where we're going with the Saints. Let's talk some news of the industry. He is the one and only Robert Linnehan, front office sports, joining us here on the Bostonian versus the book. Robert, how are you? Thank you for coming on. Appreciate the time.
Hey, what's up, Matt? It's at Sport Radar, actually, not
sorry. Thank you. Thank you.
That's
My
right.
fault.
No,
Appreciate
it's
the correction.
okay. Hey, before we jump in, I just wanted to say I haven't been on the show since Dave's unfortunate passing, so I just wanted to say, I'm insanely sorry to hear that. He was a great guy, very sad. But I was very happy that you are continuing on the show, and I'm more than honored to be back on here.
Well,
talking
thank you.
Sports betting, talking prediction markets, talking all that good stuff that we've come to know and love in this industry.
As Dave said, right? Always forward, never straight. I tried to take that and actually implement that because he always used to say to me, just keep doing the show. We just have to keep doing the show.
Perfect.
And so in his words and in his memory, I think it was the only option for me to just keep doing the show. And then luckily the audience said, yes, we want to support it. Sponsors have said, yes, we want to support it. So it's been a very trying 2025, but I know this is what Dave would want. He would want the show to keep going. So, and he loved talking to you.
Absolutely. I'm glad you did. I'm glad you kept it going. So
thank you. All right. Today we got some big news, man. This is one of the craziest days in sports in a while. And I, every time I'm following your tweets, I'm going, all right, what's going to happen? How are we going to address this if one of the big two, DraftKings, FanDuel, if they decide to roll out prediction markets, and they did? These are the states that they are now legal in for prediction markets. And the big ones are obviously Florida, Georgia, Texas, and California. Florida has a sports gambling monopoly. Georgia, Texas, California are still sports gambling illegal at the moment. That one day might change. But for now, prediction markets are the name of the game. What does this signal to you that DraftKings is comfortable doing this today?
Sure. Well, this is not, we certainly knew that DraftKings was going to launch their prediction markets and get into the sport event contracts before the year was out. They basically said they were going to back in October in their Q3 earnings report. Jason Robbins said, look, we're going to launch this before 2025 is over. Get ready. Look, it's just prediction markets. We've been talking about prediction markets so much in the last 6 months, and it was only a matter of time before DraftKings and FanDuel and even Fanatics Sportsbook before DraftKings today got into the prediction markets and the sport event contracts. Look, It's an easy way to offer sports betting without calling it sports betting. It's an easy way to get into the states that have, sort of lagged or dragged their feet in legalizing sports betting. And it's just a new market. It's a new offering that DraftKings and FanDuel eventually, actually FanDuel maybe in the next week or so, that we see a launch of their prediction market. They said that they would get something done before the year was out. It's just another offering. It's another service. It's another way to, provide a sports betting option for their customers. And it's just, this is what operators are doing. This is what companies are looking to do. And until the courts shut it down or until the Supreme Court maybe has a say eventually, it's going to be legal. It's going to happen.
What level will, in your opinion, because we don't know this yet, but we have seen certain prediction markets, Kalshi Polymarket, be willing to test the boundaries of what the CFTC will allow. And just look, I'm from New England, so when this popped, it really bothered me. And for folks who didn't see this, Polymarket was offering a market, a swap as they call it now, as to when the suspect would be caught who murdered people at MIT and at Brown University. More than $200,000 had already been traded on the market. Are we going to see DraftKings going into this type of marketplace? Or are they going to stay away from these types of conversations in markets?
I'm not laughing due to the content. I'm laughing due to, the idea of DraftKings ever offering something like that. It's just not going to happen. Polymarket has always, they've always kind of been the operator that's done business in the wild, wild west. They, were out of the U.S. for such a long time. They're trying to come back into the U.S. now. They've offered that some beta services to customers so far before rolling it out. But they've always been sort of willing to push the boundaries of, certain contracts to be offered, certain topics that are offered. You're not going to see this from the likes of DraftKings or FanDuel. I don't even think Kalshi would offer something like that. DraftKings, look, let's be honest. DraftKings and FanDuel and Fanatics and all these other gaming companies that are looking to get into this market, the main goal, the main draw that they see out of this is the sport event contracts. It's a way, like I said, to offer sports betting in states where sports betting is not legal. Most of these companies, and in fact, all of the companies so far have said that they will not be offering sport event contracts in states where they are licensed to offer sports betting. They don't sort of want that fight between the states and their offerings, because as we know, the states and the state gaming bodies are certainly not for sport event contracts. So I don't think you're going to be seeing DraftKings offer something as wild as that. They're going to stick to the sport event contracts. They'll offer some, more traditional contracts of financial contracts, entertainment contracts, pop culture contracts, things like that. I don't think you're ever going to see anything that wild offered on a DraftKings or FanDuel prediction market survey.
So if they are going to offer sports gambling markets in states that do not have legalized sports gambling, Arizona took away the license for Underdog for offering prediction markets, not in Arizona, but offering prediction markets in other states, saying that violated their licensing procedure. So they pulled it. We're waiting to see if Arizona's going to pull anybody else's. But do you think Arizona, one, would they pull DK's license from the state for what they're doing today? And two, will any other state follow suit by saying, and they had rattled their sabers a bit, saying, if you do this, Massachusetts, Ohio, whatnot, we're going to pull your licenses. Do the states actually have the guts to do it?
That's the question. Arizona. So what happened with Arizona and Underdog is Arizona, the Department of Gaming didn't, and they only issued a notice of intent to revoke the license. So that is not final yet. Underdog has the right to appeal. They are going to appeal, just from comments that I've seen from some of their general counsel. So they are going to appeal that decision, and we could very well see, maybe some deal gets done, or maybe the license ends up going back, or it's not repealed, whatever. But what happened with that was the Arizona Department of Gaming tried to or decided to potentially revoke their license because of their partnership with crypto.com. Underdog never offered sport event contracts in Arizona, but crypto.com up until December 2nd did offer sport event contracts in the state, despite multiple cease and desist letters, multiple letters saying, look, this is tantamount to illegal sports betting. So, it was less about Underdog offering sport event contracts themselves, more about them partnering with a company that did offer them in Arizona. Fanatics does not offer sport event contracts in the state. DraftKings does not offer sport event contracts in Arizona. So it's going to be interesting to see if they do take action against these companies for offerings outside of Arizona. Outside, other than Arizona, like you mentioned before, Ohio has warned operators not to get involved or to offer sport event contracts. Illinois, Michigan, New York, Massachusetts, most of these gaming boards and sometimes even in some cases their attorney generals have said, hey, look, if you partner with somebody that offers sport event contracts, or if you offer them yourselves, even if you don't offer them in our state, but you do outside of the state, that still could come into play when we're evaluating you for a license. So Arizona was kind of the tipping point with Underdog. But right now we're just keeping an eye on some of these gaming commissions to see if they actually back up some of their threats with regulatory action against these license holders. So far, we haven't seen anything, but I imagine in the next month or so, we're absolutely going to see some type of movement, some type of regulatory action that will sort of be, set everything else off as we move forward here.
The CFTC now has a new chair, so there is somebody actually running the department. Do you believe, and look, I am not a lawyer, so I don't know the full language of the CEA and how it all came to be and the Commodities Exchange Act, but it was always my understanding that in order to operate a prediction market, you had to offer it to all 50 states. You couldn't geo-target it out. How did that change? If that didn't change, will the CFTC actually enforce that rule?
So I'm not sure if that was, this is certainly not my area of expertise. Like you said, I'm not a lawyer either. I'm a lowly journalist, sports betting, gaming regulatory journalist. But from what I understand was that these companies said, they have the ability to geofence certain states. And you've seen that from crypto.com. Crypto.com revealed to me and a couple other outlets that they currently don't offer sport event contracts in Arizona, New York, and 6 other states. So they do have the technology to geofence off certain districts in terms of, certain offerings. I think the point was that it would be too much of a detriment to their business to geofence certain states or to limit certain markets in certain states. So I don't think it was ever I'm not sure if it was ever a regulatory requirement. I think it was more so something that Kalshi and the prediction market companies said would be too much of a burden to do.
Okay. You wrote the article on what Massachusetts and the Gaming Commission announced yesterday. And this is big. And you mentioned Dave at the top, and one of the biggest fights he and I would used to have is that I have long said that there should be some level of protection for gamblers when it comes to being limited and being thrown out of sports books. And Massachusetts has been on the forefront of this. And it took a long time. The books initially gave them the middle finger and said, yeah, we're not attending anything. We're not interested. And then they obviously did go ultimately having a hearing. And now yesterday, Mass came down with their ruling. What did Mass say that is interesting? And did it change anything in Massachusetts when it comes to bettors being limited by books?
So it was the first regulation that's ever been introduced and approved that deals with sports betting limitations. It was unanimously approved. It's going to have to go to a public hearing, a mandatory public hearing, and then come back to the commission before actually going on the books and becoming law. But what basically they are saying is they passed a regulation saying that any licensed sports book in the state if they plan to limit a customer, they have to send them a notification, one, that they are being limited in some way. They have to tell them what markets they're being limited in. And they also potentially may have to tell them how long they're being limited for. It's not saying, I saw a lot of disappointment from readers and people that follow along with my work saying, oh, I thought maybe they were going to do away with limiting. They were going to, make it illegal for a sports book to limit a customer. That's not happening. And honestly, I don't really expect that to ever happen. I don't think we're ever going to get there. Okay. I think what is now being introduced is the first step. I think that they are going to continue, and they've said as much. They're going to continue every year to evaluate the data of users that are limited in the state. And they may move forward and introduce some other regulations. I just don't see it as ever becoming something where there is a prohibition on limiting a customer. According to the data that they received from the licensed sports books in the state, it's a very low percentage of users that are limited, less than 1%, according to the sports books. I don't think that the Gaming Commission feels it necessary to restrict their ability to limit a customer. But I think they want it to be a fair process where they say, instead of just one day you open up your account and you can only bet $2 on, the MLB or the NFL or whatever, they want users to be notified as to why they're being limited, how long they're being limited for, and what markets they're being limited for. I really think this is sort of the start of other states even taking a look at this. So, Massachusetts has sort of been a forerunner with this. And yeah, I mean, this is, like I said, this is just a start. They're going to evaluate things from here, but I don't think it's ever going to get to the point where you're going to see sports books being unable to limit someone from their action. I just don't.
We'll end it with this. And this is, I don't know if Massachusetts has the courage to do this, but when we're talking about limiting players, I know it's a small number, but these folks, do they realize that limited number of people, they're the ones, if you're talking about the problem gamblers, talking about the ones that they look to talk about all the time about, like, they're willing to take the losers and never limit the losers. And the books take every dime they can from, I know somebody who is in New England who has lost $300,000 on DraftKings. And he has the money, but he's lost that much money on DraftKings. And I've asked him, they ever talk to you about limiting your bets? He's like, oh no, they never talk about what I'm doing. Why would they ever talk about that? So we talk about limiting winners, but we don't talk about the other side of it. And they allow the books to, I just wonder how the commission squares that by saying, well, there's a small number of people that actually get limited when there's really a small number of people that fund the whole thing because of how much they're losing.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that, because when they did present their initial findings of the data, one of the pieces was that there is a direct correlation between between patrons who win and patrons who have harsher restrictions, harsher limitations on their account. So they have said that this is true. There's a direct correlation between that. So, but if you lose, you're not going to be beholden to these strict limitations that the winners are. I think they'll take a look at it. The Massachusetts Gaming Commission is certainly not shy about implementing new regulations or, requiring the books to do things that may seem a little more strict in their state when compared with others. I mean, you've seen some of the actions they've taken. Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me if they look at it. It wouldn't surprise me if they take a long, hard look at the way that VIP programs are utilized by the sports books. Haven't heard anything concrete about what they may do, but that's certainly been discussed in public. Some of the commissioners have mentioned, that before. But, on the flip side, while Massachusetts Gaming Commission, they aren't scared to impose new regulations and new rules. it takes them a long time to do anything. They really make sure that they go over every corner, every little bit and piece, every side they hear from every, member of the public, every operator. And it takes them a long time. I mean, it took nearly 2 years for them to get to this point where they introduced a regulation that many people are saying doesn't go far enough. So I think they'll discuss it. I wouldn't expect them to make any changes in the next week or two, but I think it's on their radar, and I think it is something that they will potentially address in the future.
Robert, thank you. As a Bostonian, I can tell you that's very par for the course when it comes to mass politics. It is never fast. It is always very slow. Happy holidays. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate you coming on. Let's see you again. Do it again in 2026. All right.
Thanks, Matt. Anytime, buddy.
That is Robert Linnehan from Sports Radar. I'm going to say it right. Sports Radar. I said it wrong the first time. That's my bad on that. It's great to get him on the program. Newbie is here. Let's talk some football, some week 16.
Newbie, or not newbie.
Oh, it's a lot of yes newbie. It's not
that's the hope.
Newbie.
Yes,
it's a lot of yes
don't
newbie.
Do two not. Yeah, good to see you, buddy. It's been a few weeks, man. How you been?
I'm good. How are you? You've been around. I've seen you do a bunch of cool things. We can start off the bat with you on at the game. Look at you and Rosenberg going to the game for the Eagles. You came away what? Happy, excited, sad? What'd you come away with that game?
Do we have to talk about it? No.
Yes.
So for me, you know me, whoever is the starting quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles, I will go on shows and defend them. Right. I did the same thing with Carson Wentz way back when I was doing college radio. I did the same exact thing for Donovan McNabb. It's just what I do. So having to see the guy who I go to bat for every single week throw turnovers, that was rough to see in 4K. I mean, the seats were incredible. I don't know if have you ever been to SoFi? It's an incredible stadium.
I was there when they were building it. I've never been to the finished product.
Yeah.
So I've not seen a game there. No.
Yeah, two of the newer stadiums is that and Allegiant Stadium. And
yeah.
I think SoFi blows Allegiant out of the water, to be honest.
I've heard that.
I mean, that.
Well, the price tag. Well, the price tag, though, newbie. I mean, that was 2.4 billion. I mean, Allegiant was 1.9, I think. I mean, it's nothing to shake a stick at, but that's why the bells and the whistles.
And once you get over to the state line, things tend to cost a little bit more here in sunny California. But no, dude, it was an awesome experience. Honestly, I went into the game having a ticket on the Chargers, so it was fine for me. I'm not. While I'm an Eagles fan, I'm not a pom-pom waving Eagles fan. I'll bet on them the same that I'll bet against them. But the fashion in which they lost, really having a chance to put their stamp on that game and losing in the way that they did, it was nice having the little palate cleanser of the Raiders the week following. So I was like, at least they lost, but at least I know they're going to kick the shit out of a team the next week. So that was at least a nice little tune-up. But it was a great time, man. Always a good time with my man Berg. And, the loss, sure, it hurt, but the guys next to us, super nice Chargers fans. We were bullshitting the whole entire game. So I think we at least, if we didn't do anything, at least we dispelled the Philadelphia fans suck narrative for at least two people who are San Diego Chargers fans.
That's good. That's good. Where are you on your team's outlook going forward here? Because you have a game against the Commanders on Saturday. It's a standalone NFL game. It's always fun to have your team with nothing up against it besides some, most likely blowout college football games. Yeah. What are you excited for Saturday to watch your team? And do you think you guys make a run, or is this just a lot of drama? Defending champs always have a tough time repeating.
Here's the temperature check for me is, yes, it was the Raiders last week, but when you shut out any team, especially after you lose in the fashion that you lost, and you had the season really up to this date that you've been having, that's something to feel positive about. And the Eagles really haven't had much to feel positive about for the better part of this season. So I am encouraged that they won in the fashion that they did. Now, the game that I kind of have circled, which is a shame because if the Eagles end up winning, they're 6.5-point favorites on the road in division here. If they end up winning this game, The Bills game really won't mean as much because basically the Eagles are going to be locked in as the 3 seed. So I don't think they're going to expend as much energy. That was the litmus test that I wanted to see is can this team actually turn a corner and can compete against the playoff team, because all they have on the rest of the schedule, it was the Raiders and then two games here against, the Commanders that are old, they're banged up. Sure, in division, you should have a little bit of competition, but I don't think that they're going to put as much out against the Bills. So you won't really know about this team until they get into the playoffs. But I will say, for the first time in a long time, there is a reason to be optimistic, because sure, it was against the Raiders, but what I was watching more was the play calling, the decision making in spots was just what they hadn't done. There is no doubt in my mind, Matt, that there has to be an outside voice influencing this Philadelphia Eagles offense, because it's not like magically they just changed things up. If you look at some of those play designs, had a hell of a lot to do, especially with what they did with the tight end, with that Bowling Green head coach who has come on with the Eagles in a consultant role here. If you look at what they did with the tight end, a lot of those plays looked like Harold Fannin last year with Bowling Green. So I think having some outside voices, maybe you made a call or two to Dable. I think there is reasons to be optimistic, but I'm not betting any Eagles Super Bowl ticket. I can tell you that much. The NFC is just so competitive at the top right now. And watching that game last night, I don't know how you feel confident as an Eagles team going into either of those teams that played football last night, going into either of their houses, which you will have to do in the playoffs. I don't know how you could go in there feeling insanely confident with what those teams put out last night.
Well, I have a 14-1 ticket on the Seahawks to win it all, and down by 15 points in the fourth quarter, a 1-172 record. Now the Seahawks had lost every single game basically ever when they were trailing by 15 or more points in the fourth quarter. They had never done what they did last night. One, was this actually a backwards pass? And two, did you think differently about Mike McDonald because he decided to go for the 2-point win last night, even though he had really no choice because a tie wouldn't have helped him. He had to go for that, but he did have the guts to do it. He did pull the trigger. He would have walked off that field a loser, an 0-2 to the Rams. But was that really a backwards pass?
I mean, it looked like it was at least going backwards enough. My bigger gripe with the play is
the rule.
Well,
you can't advance a fumble. You can't advance a fumble, but you could pick one up in the end zone and it's a 2-point play.
Well, because because the ball was batted, like that part, I don't have an issue with. I guess my part is more the inadvertent whistle shit has to stop. Like the every play should not end. If there's a question mark, don't blow a whistle, because a whistle was blown on that play and it was ignored. So like that's where the inadvertent whistle says that play doesn't count. But that's my bigger gripe, is they do this all the time. I think the play was going marginally backwards. I think it is dumb that because it was picked up in the end zone, it's a touchdown, but he didn't pick up a ball and advance a ball. He picked up the ball where it lied. And honestly, let's be real, amazing play call. Talk about the 2-point conversion at the end of the game. Mike McDaniel, big brain. Mike McDonald, big brain stuff. Throw it backwards, get it batted. We'll pick it up in the end zone while nobody's paying attention. It was like the old, hey, coach, we got a wrong ball trick. And they start walking towards the sideline and then just take off like you would do in youth football. Big brain stuff out of Mike McDonald. That's exactly how they drew it up, Matt. Exactly how they drew it up.
I don't know how I feel about Sam Darnold, because Sam Darnold has thrown 6 picks against the Rams so far. If he sees the Rams, if he plays the Rams, if that's the NFC Championship game and Seattle hosting the Rams, can you back Seattle? Can you back him to beat LA, given the fact that he throws so many picks against that defense? Because both those picks last night were awful. They're right to the one to a defensive lineman. Like he's not just throwing picks. He's throwing really bad interceptions.
No, I think getting the win at least maybe will stave off some of that kryptonite talk. You know what I mean? They did end up winning the game. He did end up throwing some pretty damn good passes en route to that victory. That sideline catch was also incredible, that he put on an absolute rope to even get them in a position to win. So I don't buy in when it's like this team absolutely runs a guy. I think it has a lot more to do with game planning, with things like that. But I will say, for me, a big takeaway was the Rams, like, this isn't an isolated incident this season, dude. They blew a 7 lead to the Philadelphia Eagles. This was the fourth quarter. They end up blowing a 15-point lead. What was the other one when they lost on Thursday Night Football against the San Francisco 49ers against Who's-He What's It and How's He Do's It, and they end up losing that game outright when they had a chance to win it. This is now starting to become an identity for this football team, that the hubris of that head coach on the sideline bites him in the ass quite a bit. And that's what would maybe give me hope if I'm a team going into SoFi in the playoffs is let's let this team get up. Let's let their head coach get enough rope to hang himself with. He's done it 4 times this year.
McVay is now 18-3 ATS in December, though. So he's still a very good guy to back. They lost, but they covered the 2 or 1.5 point line last night. So they did cover last night, even though they did not win the game. You guys are watching on the replay on Sports Grid. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. We're off all next week on Sports Grid. So we're not going anywhere, but just FYI, we're off. Well, no, sorry. Monday, Tuesday, we're on. Sorry. Then we're off for the holiday, and we're off the last week of the year. So we have 2 shows left on Sports Grid. Sorry, that's my bad. We're back Monday, Tuesday, and then we're off after that. So we'll see you next Monday. If you guys are watching on the replay, if you're live, don't move. Bonus time starts now. I'm always fast forwarding. This is all weird because Christmas is such a weird time right now for like, because Thanksgiving was so late and Christmas feels like it's so early that I feel
so
like
early. I'm with you, dude.
Like next week, I feel like next week is supposed to be the last week of the year. No, it's the second to last week of the year. Like, Matt, you're working all next week. I'm like, oh, I'm working Monday, Tuesday next week.
Dude, it's all screwed up. And throwing a wrench in it, Matt, my wife and I, we just got an offer accepted on a home, and we're going to be moving. We're going to be moving back outside of Philadelphia, and this just rapidly approached.
Hold on.
You buried the lead. This is a good lead for bonus.
You buried the lead.
Big lead here. Bonus time. Here's how it went down, Matt. And you and I haven't gotten to talk since then. So that's why I was like, holy shit, this will be perfect to bring up to Matt in bonus time. We were home for Thanksgiving. As we were eating Thanksgiving with my family, my sister just mentions, hey, our house in our neighborhood, our friends, they're going to be, putting their house up for sale. They have to move. They were like, you guys should, check it out. Why not? You're home. We were like, haha, yeah. She goes, I just texted them. They said, hey, thank you. Appreciate it, JC from KC. But they go, my sister goes, yeah, so they're home if you guys want to go and walk through the house. And Kayla and I were like, should we? And then we were like, all right, let's do it. Walked through. And as we left the place, we were like, we actually kind of like that. Like that place was actually pretty nice. Four bedrooms, 2.5 bath, unfinished basement, corner lot, yard, wrap around porch out back, a sunroom off the side. So this was something that we were like, damn, this is actually pretty nice. Do we kick the tires off?
This is not like in Philly though. This is out.
No.
Suburb, right?
It's about 45 minutes outside of Philly. So my hometown, it's outside of Reading is where it's at. But literally out of a sitcom, Matt, it's like across the street from my sister and their family. Like true, God. Like out of a sitcom shit. So then we kick the tires on it. We're like, whatever. We get pre-approved. We put in an offer on it. And then in less than a week from when we didn't even know we were looking for a house to we just got an offer accepted. And now we're moving from California starting January 15th and closing on February 6th. Insane, Matt.
Hold on, because I have to ask these questions. Has your wife ever lived on the East Coast?
We're both from the East Coast.
Okay. So this is going home for both of you.
So interestingly enough, we're actually going back to the hometown. We knew each other in high school. So we're back to the hometown.
You're both from there.
Yeah, we're both from here.
I did not realize you're back there with your wife. I thought you met her in California.
So before we moved to California, Kayla lived in Manhattan for 5 years.
I knew that, yes.
Yeah, so she and then we're both from outside of Reading, right outside of Philly. So we're going back to where we never thought we were going to. But dude, it was it just happened. It was one of our favorite movies when Kayla and I talk about, how we met, how we got back together. Serendipity. Incredible 100%. Film. 100%. Serendipitous the way that we now have a house that we're going to be moving and we're going to be East Coasters. So, hey, Matt, whenever you're in Philly, you're making one of those East Coast trips, You got a spot, buddy. 4
Well,
bedrooms. I'll make a Perrault wing in the house at this point.
Wow. Well, I mean, now everyone needs to buy you a black glove for Christmas. So we'll do that. So there's if you know
ball. Drop in the comments. Matt knows ball because yes, we need a black glove.
You know, black glove on that. But I will say this. So we haven't talked. So I am efforting to put together for in the brigade. I'm telling you, I'm doing this in bonus time, but this cannot be like something that gets run around because we're trying to plan this and I want to make sure it happens. So Pittsburgh is hosting the NFL draft.
Okay.
So I am talking to a couple different sponsors about us doing a Dave Memorial shows.
Yes.
In Pittsburgh in April for the NFL draft. So
no brainer.
I'm efforting to put it together. So like that would be the next time we never come from the East Coast ever. We've never been able to get out there to do it. And the NFL draft being in Pittsburgh, it makes just too much damn sense to do BBB, to do multiple shows for BBB. So I am close to having a pretty interested party. So just keep in mind that, hey, we may need you because there's nobody. I spent more time on radio or TV with Dave, but you are a very close second. Like you spent you spent a ton of time.
I would literally cancel other shit to be there, Matt. So if your efforting becomes this is a lock, you know my ass is there.
I asked this sponsor before anybody else, and so they went, "Whoa, this is really early." And I was like, "Yeah, it's really early because I want to make sure it happens." So it's April. It's late April. I want to make sure this happens. And so this
squeaky wheel's going to get that grease.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, the folks at the Pirates, you know, the fact that Dave's fraternity brother is the president of the Pirates. And like, there's already been some people like, hey, I can give you this guest and I can give you this person. And so like it could turn into something really, really pretty cool. So just keep that in mind.
Absolutely.
So we may be on the East Coast, but I'm really happy for the two of you guys to go back home. How are you doing the move? Are you selling everything or are you moving everything?
No, so we we got a 2-bedroom here, so it's not like we have a disgusting amount of stuff, but we also don't want to move into a place and then not have anything. So like we got a nice couch, we got a nice bed, things like that. A couple of places. So we're gonna be packing up. We do just like one of those shipping containers, and then we ship my car to. Do we drive back? So what we're going to do, we're going to take the dog in the car and we're going to do the reverse road trip. We're going to go the southern route so we won't have any issues with sun,
I love it. Yes.
Snow or anything. So
yes.
January 15th, unfortunately, 16th is a Friday, Matt. Maybe we'll check in from the road. I'll hop on my phone with you.
Okay.
But
just say hi.
Yes, we're going to go back.
Please. If you're bored and you want to check in with us and come in, I am the biggest road trip moving experience person. Okay.
Yeah.
I did it. I've done it so many times. I did it Boston to Virginia. I did Virginia to Alabama. I did Alabama to Omaha. I did Omaha to Des Moines, Des Moines back to New Hampshire to Texas, Texas to Nevada. So I have done the driving in the crisscrossing of the country, and I tell everybody it is so much fun as long as you have a good partner with you and you take it easy. Like you can't do it.
Yeah.
You can't kill yourself. Go and see the sights because you'll never see parts of the country. I mean, I'll never forget stopping in New Mexico and sleeping in New Mexico and being like, okay, I get why Breaking Bad was based here.
Yeah, you're like, wait, people live here? That was the same for us. When we were on our way out here, we were just like, man, what the like we're getting our food DoorDash because I'm not sure if I want to leave this motel that we're at, but you really are just like people live here, huh?
Yeah, it's right by the with Juarez and right by the Mexican border, and like okay. I'm really happy for you guys. Congratulations! How cool is that? What a great for your family is to get a Christmas present like that.
Yeah,
that's unbelievable.
Yeah, we're pumped. Gonna get to be back home, and like we said, like it was never the plan to stay out here indefinitely. Like it was always, hey, we both work remote. Why don't we live in California for a few years? And it was always like a 3 to 5 year plan. We were just closer to the you cashed the under because it was set at 3.5, and we've cashed the under on how long we're gonna miss it here, dude. Like, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love it here. This is by far the best chapter of my life, and a lot of it has to do with where we have lived. And the experiences that we've had, but we're ready to enter that next portion of life and getting to do it across the street from my sister and my nieces and nephews. I'm going to get to coach my nephew's lacrosse team and then transition into coaching him in high school. It's going to be a no-brainer, man. We're pumped.
That's super cool. That's really exciting. All right. Well, I was going to ask you. We can talk about this in terms of like Christmas traditions. Do you have a Christmas tradition? Do you have something that you and your family do?
So typically what it would always be go to my parents' house. Since we've come out here, Kayla and I both, we prefer Thanksgiving over Christmas as far as spending it with our families, because then we don't have to cook. You just get to eat good food. You don't have to buy everyone presents. So since we've been out here, that's one thing that we have liked, is we've gotten to remove ourselves from Christmas. We have our own little Christmas traditions here. We get up, I make us a little bit of breakfast. We hang out. We have a slow morning. We exchange stockings. We have the dog open her presents and everything. So it's nice and chill. That's the idea. However, I think next Christmas could look a little bit different, Matt. Could look a little bit different.
Yes, I would imagine so, with you guys moving home. I mean, for me, I think it's a good point about Thanksgiving when we're on the West Coast and we're East Coast people, that like I went back for Thanksgiving. So it was fun to be there for Thanksgiving. I'm going to go back after Christmas. So I go back on the 26th.
Smart.
Madeline and I are flying afterwards and going back for New Year's and spending, I always take the last week of the year off. And then I end up just hanging out with family and friends on the East Coast and remind myself why, and you guys will get this quickly, when the snow won't melt in March and you're going to go, remember that beach we used to walk to when it was 65, 70 degrees? So at least you two both can cry together about the lack of the warmth.
Yeah, that part is where it's going to be a little bit tough. Also, when we planned on moving back, we were like, let's do it in the spring so we can, ease into the winter. No, we're moving in, as you well know, when it is just
the teeth
horribly, bitterly cold. However, I will say one of the things that's nice about this house, central heating just replaced a year ago. So we got a brand new heater there. We got a brand new air conditioner. So that is one thing that it'll just be bunkered down. We got plenty to do around the house, Matt. I ain't going outside. Winnie can walk her ass into the yard that she now has. You go potty, you come back in. I'm staying inside, girl.
It's a great point. I mean, I'm in Vegas, but my backyard currently has oranges and roses in December. So
that's going to be tough. Well, dude, anytime that we go outside and we walk, so I live literally, Redondo Beach is the town name. I walk 150 yards and I'm walking next to the water, the Pacific Ocean. I can see Point Doom and Malibu when I'm walking. I can look the other way and see Catalina. Gonna be a little bit different when I'm seeing the sprawling metropolis of Reading, Pennsylvania. But getting to be near family, man, no brainer. Yeah. We're super pumped for it. And like I said, it's huge. It's good to have a place like this to miss. It's good like this to have a place to visit. We were never gonna stay here forever.
Yeah, you can always get on a plane, right? It's what planes are built for. Fly on vacation and go back.
Exactly.
Go see friends and family. All right, are you guys still alive at all for Circa Millions, or do you guys just, is it too late for you?
So I mean, dude, that potato commish, no one's alive when this man is continuing. He's come a little bit back to the pack, but that insane lead that he got out of the gate. And then we started this quarter terrific. We were right outside of a 5-0. We ended up losing by a hook. So we had a 4-1 to start the quarter. And then last week, boom, we fall out. We ended up having a 2-3 kind of kiss your sister week last week. But luckily on the season, we're still right around, 57, 58%. So
that's good.
We won, but as you well know, 57, 58% ain't winning you no contest. You need one of those 65 or better insane seasons. But the nice thing is we broke the cardinal rule of don't bet your contest plays. We bet our contest plays. So we at least have cashed in on money all season long. And actually, it's funny, the seats that we had at that game, Berg and I paid for them with Circa Millions winnings, not with just bets that we won. So the seats were essentially free because we used our picks, and we've had fun. It's been fun content around it. So it is what it is.
Yeah, it's what you put up. Hold on, where's that picture that I put up with the two of you guys? When it says seats paid with gambling winnings.
There's a few things better, because I'll tell you what, if I was paying with my own money, Matt, my ass is up in the nosebleeds where the Eagles season tickets are. I ain't hobnobbing it with the elite when it's my own pocket.
All right, I know it's Friday, so you don't have to put the picks until tomorrow. But any leans, not just Circa, but bets? Anybody you like this week in Week 16?
Yeah, actually, my favorite bet of the week is I'm glad I'm seeing you wearing that Jags. This is where this one didn't get to be on our card, but I'm on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Berg is on the Broncos. I think it's
what number though?
I'm taking 3, but I like Jacksonville outright.
You got 3.5 now. You can.
There's
that's
3
why
because I haven't bet it yet.
That's why I like the Jags. I like the Jags 3.5. It's already gotten off of 3. So to me, the fact that the books have already been willing to go to 3.5, trying to find Jaguar money in the market, I think Jacksonville. Money. Yeah, I'll be the money. I like Jacksonville a lot. It's the Broncos are going to have a Patriot type game. They're gonna blow a game. They're not supposed to. They're not gonna. I don't think they want to go 15-2. To be quite honest, I mean, it's too difficult to do so.
And one of the things for me too is this you talked about Breaking Bad. This Broncos run has that same feel as you mentioned. The Patriots finally dropped one, but the 11-game win streak, 9 of them were 1-score victories. So you know what I mean? Like you can't keep getting away with this. You can't keep winning close games. And this is a Jags team who, dude, they're playing really well. And I think one of the things that's underrated about this Jags team is their defense. And it's not like the Broncos have some prolific offense that they're facing off against. I also think there's this narrative that's out there of this, there's always that sexy trend that everybody talks about every year. And one of the sexy trends is, the team after they play the Jets, for whatever reason, they're only 1-12 against the number. Okay, sure. But the teams who are actually winning football teams after that game they don't cover, or that they play against the Jets, they're 3-2 outright if they have a winning percentage of 666 or more. So
you'll like this trend.
Yeah. What do we got?
11 teams on an 11-game streak have been inflated and have struggled. 14, 36-2 against the spread since 1990 when teams are on an 11-game win streak or more.
Yeah, it's for me. Yes, the Broncos are great. The defense is incredible. I just think this could be one of those, let up a little bit too much. And if you let up, the Jags are a kind of team who can make you pay for it. So I like Jacksonville outright, but you're telling me I got 3.5. I'm going to bet that this afternoon, but I'm also sprinkling on the money line. But my favorite play of the week, Matt, it's a disgusting game, but at this point in the season, so here's the thing is when you talk about these gross games like Jets and Saints, in this game I'm going to talk about Miami and Cincinnati, everyone's like, why don't you talk about the good games? You know what I mean? Why aren't you? Well, guess what?
Make money.
15 of the 32 NFL teams at this point in the season, Matt, have a losing record. So go find me the good games, folks. But for me, I love Miami. Plus 4.5. Yeah, I get it. I know Quinn Ewers is playing, whatever. Okay, so you're on the Bengals here. 3-10 straight up on short rest. Okay. I can.
It's Mike McDaniel with a quarterback that we have no idea what he's capable of doing. Like you're putting money behind Quinn Ewers?
Well, so here's the thought process for me is, I mean, it's not like Tua has been some world beater. Quinn Ewers, he ain't no world beater either. He only has thrown 8 passes in the NFL. It was in mop-up duty about a month ago against Cleveland, 53 yards on those passes. However, you mentioned Mike McDaniel in the short week. Sure, that's a good little sample size there. But what has Mike McDaniel done his entire tenure as a head coach? It's beat bad football teams. That's the only reason the dude is still employed. And what are the Cincinnati Bengals at this point in the year? They're a bad football team who is coming off of a loss. Mike McDaniel, 14-4-1 against the spread versus opponents coming off consecutive losses. This is Mike McDaniel when he's playing bad teams who are on losing streaks. That's where he typically wins. And he's done that with quarterbacks other than Tua when his quarterbacks have been injured. So 8-2 record in that subset against the spread at home. And then I look on the other sideline, Zach Taylor, as good as Mike McDaniel is against bad teams, Zach Taylor is equally as bad against bad teams. The Bengals under Taylor, 2-12 against the spread when both teams are coming off losses. So this is a case for me where, is it a little bit crazy? Sure, but Cincinnati shouldn't be 4.5-point road chalk against anyone, even Quinn Ewers.
That's a good point.
That number to me is crazy. And if you take the names off the back of the jersey, this series, for whatever reason, Miami doesn't like going to Cincinnati, and Cincinnati doesn't like going to Miami. The home team in this series, 7-0 against the spread run, is the home team, and that's with some favorites baked in there as well. You're getting 4.5 at home. I'm taking Miami. A little head-to-head with you here on Friday, Matt.
I'm not betting it, so you can have it.
Okay, good.
If you want to bet it, I'm not betting. I just took a pick. I just made a pick in every game. I wouldn't bet that game. I can't bet anything with Quinn Ewers. I have no idea what he is. Too much of an X factor. What if the kid can play? If the kid can play, then you got problems.
I'm with you. One thing too that I like in this, I mean, with Quinn Ewers coming in, what does a quarterback who doesn't really have much underneath him like? He likes a running back he can check down to. He has that in Achane, and he likes having a security blanket at the tight end position who you have with Darren Waller. So I like, and also you're playing a Cincinnati team who's historically awful against the tight end position. I think this could be a Darren Waller prop game for me. I'm going to take him as a touchdown scorer. I think he's like 3-1. I'm going to take him 2 touchdowns. Why not? It's like 30-1. So sprinkle a little bit on
3. Yeah, 3.
I need to get your take though, Matt, before obviously we shut things down. You make a pick in every single game. What are you doing with this Baltimore-New England game? New England finally coming off of that loss. What's your thoughts here?
Mike Vrabel, 24-18-3 off a loss as a head coach with the Patriots and the Titans.
That's
Patriots found Pounds. I think the Patriots have handled the loss really well because I haven't seen anyone take the bait from the Boston media that have tried desperately to get the players and coaches to say something explosive or interesting this week because they had to. The Boston media, generally speaking, is a bunch of pissed off, old and angry white guys that just want everyone to suck like they do. So they end up. I've heard this under multiple people that there's a problem between Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels, and that Josh is unhappy with his current position, which everyone else I've talked to outside of the media has said that's complete bullshit. And it's just clickbait nonsense trying to get a hold of it because the team was winning for so long. They couldn't talk negatively about the Patriots. So they finally lost. And now they can talk about negative things. And both Vrabel and McDaniels and everyone's like, what the hell are you talking about? This is nonsense. So I think it's a reset. And I just wonder where the heads are for the Ravens. Like, do they really want to keep rolling with this season? Or are they kind of like, look, we suck. We're not going anywhere. We know it. And the Patriots are coming in here. They're going to be mad. I don't think the Ravens match it. I think the Patriots win the game outright. They're 6-0 on the road. They're 6-0 on the road. But I'll take the 3 points. Pats +3 has a real good push potential. As long as you don't see a Drake May game like Sam Darnold did last night, he can't be throwing 2 or 3 picks. If he does, forget it. Because the pros, it's been bet up to 3. And look, you look at the way these tickets have run here. If you get over 60% in the NFL right now, you got to go the other way. And it's a lot of groupthink that this Patriot team is fraudulent and this is going to be the beginning of the end. They're going to lose on the road to Baltimore, and then they'll lose to the Jets or they'll lose to the Dolphins, and then the Bills run the table and the Bills wind up winning the division. So this game is really important for a variety of reasons, but I think it's a mental check for the Patriots as well.
All right. Yeah, I see. I don't really have as much of a take in that game. Berg, he likes the Ravens. I'm kind of like, 3-point favorites. I mean, the one that stood out to me is Lamar Jackson, how he plays in December, but Lamar Jackson hasn't been Lamar Jackson this season.
Yeah.
So
I think he's hurt. I think what we're going to hear at the end of the year, Lamar's having surgery, that he hasn't been the same.
I think number one, he's hurt. And number two, I think him and Harbaugh, I go back to when the losses started stacking up for them at the beginning of the season. There was this moment on the sideline between him and Harbaugh where basically that was the game that the injury popped up, and then Lamar didn't go back in. And sure, yes, there was an injury, but Lamar doesn't leave games. He was screaming at Harbaugh, threw down his headset. Harbaugh threw down his stuff. Since that point, there's just been this stink around this team. So I just want to get your take on that one, so.
I think Harbaugh might go to Michigan.
Yeah,
there's a reason.
That wouldn't shock me at all. I think Harbaugh is done after this year, to be honest with you.
If you look at what he's accomplished in Baltimore, and you look at the fact that Michigan's still open, it feels like something like they know who they're getting and they can just sit and wait and like, hey, things are a mess. Let's clean it all up. And then we can kind of palate cleanse with, hey, by the way, it's not Jim, but it's John. Yep. And we're getting a Harbaugh to come back as a Michigan man to come back and run Michigan. That I think there's a lot of thought, a lot of real possibility to that happening. And so if him and Lamar are not seeing eye to eye, if it's, he's accomplished everything he's going to accomplish with the Ravens, he doesn't want to go anywhere else in the NFL. So go to college and get a big contract and sit there and deal with college kids could really be a possibility. But I mean, the Patriots, if the Bills we talked about it earlier with the Eagles game, which is kind of an annoyance because that's the game that the Patriots need the Bills to lose. So if they lose to the Ravens, they need the Eagles to beat the Bills. And if that game is out the window, that's scary.
I just don't know if the Eagles are going to care about that game all that much if they win on Saturday. If they
and
don't,
they will.
Yeah,
I think they're going to kill the Commanders. I think they crush.
I don't see how the Commanders score. Commanders team total under for me. I just don't see how they score.
Same thing with the Texans Raiders. Talk about shit games. Well, Texans Raiders is a shit game. Team total Raiders under 10.5.
Yeah.
So I mean, to take under, they're not going to score against that Texans defense. No. The game probably goes under, but you don't want to lay 14 points with Houston. You can go. Have you seen? We'll end it with this. Have you seen the line for the Saints and the Jets? Have you seen what it is now?
It's insane, dude. I can't believe it. What? It's like 6.5.
Yeah, it was 2.5 on Monday.
Yeah, the second it went to 6.5, I bet, and we had the Jets as a contest pick. That's insane. Okay. It
doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense from a number perspective as to we're going to hammer it. The best play is the under in the game. Tyler Shuckett's 5-1 to the under. He is 2-0 at home to the under. Jets, I mean, Cook, their quarterback situation is god awful. The Saints, I laid 4. When it was on Tuesday, it was 4. I took the 4. Sure. So take the Saints -4.
Of course.
6.5. This steam I hate. I might, if this keeps going, if it gets to 7, I'm probably going to have to bet out of it and just take the 7 and hope that we fall somewhere in the middle.
Yeah,
because
on Sunday morning,
I don't trust it.
That's what I said to Berg because early on in the week, he was like, oh, I want the Jets. Oh, I want the Jets. I was like, just wait. I said, there's no one going to bet the Jets. On Sunday morning, all of the steam chasers are going to be New Orleans. You're going to get 7s. Yeah. Hell, you might get a 7.5 on Sunday. There's nobody going to bet the Jets.
The Saints -7.5 against anybody is truly
it's a joke.
Is truly ridiculous. So, all right, my friend, happy holidays. Thank you for doing this. We appreciate you. Happy New Year. We'll talk to you in 2026. I know you're going to have a busy January, so I'll probably have to reconstitute thing a little bit to make it so it works out for you guys. But congrats to you and your wife. That's awesome news for you guys. Hopefully you guys have a great Christmas. Happy New Year, and we'll talk to you in 2026. All right?
Appreciate you, Matt. Have a terrific holiday, brother.
The one and only newbie, Dan Alexander, joining us here on the Bostonian versus the book, as he does every Friday here. We'll have to obviously adjust that. It's pretty cool news for him and his wife. They're going to be moving back to the East Coast. So if you guys are in Pennsylvania, in the Philly area, you might be bumping into newbie at the convenience store. You never know. You may be running out to get a quart of milk, and there's newbie sitting right there in front of you. It's pretty cool. That's very, very cool to have that happen. Okay. We've done almost everything today. We bounced around. What a fun show this has been. This has been awesome. Yeah. All right. We can wrap here. It's already hour and a half over. We gotta wrap. All right. Favorite thing about today is this weekend from a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday perspective. We started it last night with an unbelievable game with the Rams and the Seahawks. Tonight we got Alabama and the Oklahoma Sooners in the first round of the CFP. We have a fight with more on that in a second. And then we've got games tomorrow, 3 of them in the playoffs, 2 of them in the NFL, and a full slate on Sunday. And then Phillip Rivers on Monday night. We are back for Monday and Tuesday. I got to check my own schedule because I was like going blank. Yeah. So we're going to work on the 20th. So we're actually back 3 days, 22nd, 23rd, 24th. We're on all the way. I am on. We're going to do BVB on Christmas Eve. No show BVB Christmas, no show BVB on the 26th. And then depending upon what happens next, there might be one show the last week of December, but there might not be. As of right now, the plan would be to be off from the 25th of December to the 5th of January. Just FYI. This is the normal break that I take at the end of every year. I go back to New England and we just chill out and we just refocus, reconstitute, and then come back really strong. So there's a couple of things I can tell you guys about the schedule because it's going to be really pretty wild. I obviously just let the thought about going to Pittsburgh for the draft out of the bag. I am going to New Orleans at the end of January for the Betting Pros annual retreat. So I will be in New Orleans for 4 days at the end of January. As of right now, Sports Grid and BVB, we are going to collaborate on sending me to the Super Bowl to go to Radio Row, to go there for at least 3 days in San Francisco Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday coming up for Super Bowl, whatever number it is now, like 59, whatever it is. I don't even remember. So that's coming up in February. So we have New Orleans trip. We have a trip to San Francisco. Then later in that month, in February, I'm going to Florida, and the show will be dark for a couple of days at the end of February, really for 3 days in the end of February. I'm taking Madeline to go to the new Universal in Florida. So we're going to go down, check that out. And then to Florida. And then in March, I don't know what's going on yet for March. We're talking March Madness. It's still kind of up in the air. But then in April, we've got the draft potentially in Pittsburgh. So it's going to be kind of a crazy couple of months to start 2025. A lot of really positive momentum. A lot of really good things are on the table at the moment. A lot of fun stuff's on the table. So if you are somebody who's in Pittsburgh, if you're somebody in around Pittsburgh, or you're watching and you do want to be a part of something that we're going to plan for Dave in Pittsburgh, that's something I really am focused upon solidifying and giving people plenty of time. I want to give people over a month to plan their travel. It's going to be expensive. It's going to be chaotic. Obviously, it's the draft in Pittsburgh where people are going to go crazy, but we want to be there for Thursday and Friday. We want to be on the air for Thursday and Friday. Pat and the boys should be there. So with Pat and the boys being there, we're trying to find ways to get Gump and potentially Pat, or to do something along those lines. So there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things going on. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, we are there. Here's the thing, Vinny. Any play on this? Anthony and Jake Paul. DraftKings is getting hammered. Jake Paul is being bet like he already won. The New York Post has been told that if Jake Paul wins tonight, it would cost them nearly $100 million tonight. So let me just say this. Do you think the book would be taking this much money if they thought it was fake? The answer would be no. Do you think Jake Paul is going to win tonight? I do not. But I also believe that Jake Paul has stipulations in contracts about knockdowns in rules in which there are incentives for the fighters or punches against Jake Paul. I thought Anderson Silva was a joke. Anderson Silva completely pulled all his punches. He had Jake Paul hurt, and he didn't attack him and knock him out because he could have, but he was incentivized not to. Mike Tyson was incentivized to not hurt Jake Paul and knock him down. I do believe that Anthony Joshua is being incentivized to not hurt Jake Paul. So in that vein, fight goes the distance by decision, Anthony Joshua. So Joshua will get to say he won and save face. Jake Paul will be able to say that he fought better than people thought. And with a heavyweight champion of the world, he went toe-to-toe as a cruiserweight. He was able to box well enough, right? He's in there against Anthony Joshua, who can take you from life if he wanted to. He's not going to want to. Anthony Joshua cannot lose this fight. He's got big things riding on 2026. He has some big fights in 2026 already booked. He can't lose this fight. But there's no purpose. He does not have to knock out Jake Paul. Everyone's saying the conversations about he's talking about it. It's like saying, if he does knock him out in the first round, it's going to be a loss for him. Well, that's all pre-fight talk, okay? Once we get in the ring, it's a larger than regulation ring. They've agreed to a ring it's 22 by 20, I believe. So I think it's 20 by 18 is what a regulation ring is. So there's more room for Jake Paul to run. And it's an 8-round fight. Not a 12-round fight. It's an 8-round fight. Okay. The likelihood that Anthony Joshua knocks out Jake Paul is somewhat slim. I mean, Anthony Joshua is not a knockout specialist. Yes, he did knock out Francis Ngannou. And yes, he has that potential. If he connects with you, he could really hurt you. I just don't believe that's going to happen tonight. So prediction, Joshua by decision. Bet the over, Joshua by decision. I don't believe Jake Paul is going to win the fight tonight, but I also don't think that we're going to see a really explosive, amazing end to the boxing career of Jake Paul, like so many people are predicting. So that's how I would. That the prelims are pretty good, Pierre. You're right. The undercard fights aren't bad. That sugar chick that's fighting, I forget her name, but she's from Australia. She's like a OnlyFans girl. Like that fight's gonna do well. Like that's the final. Looks pretty interesting, but yeah, no. Joshua is minus 1,200 in MGM. It's right. Okay, it's right. So okay, fine, I'll watch. She's pretty. Yeah, she's attractive. Sugar, whatever her name is, Sugar something. But she's from Australia. And she fights on she's not the main card, but she's the main fight of the prelims that she is fighting on. And for a belt. I mean, Anderson Silva is fighting on the card. Who else is fighting on the card? It's not a bad card. I'm not gonna knock it. Really, Joshua and Paul are getting all the attention, but it's not really a bad card at all. So, guys, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Like button, subscribe. We're so close to 3,000 subscribers. If you haven't hit subscribe, please do hit subscribe. Leave a comment. Be in the Discord channel. Hang out. Have a great weekend. Monday, we're back to recap all of it. It's a huge sports weekend. Monday, tons to talk about on the next episode of the Bostonian versus the Book.